Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. Today's deck is one that I've been working on feverishly behind the scenes. This one's called Pixie Sticks, and we're taking the sort of pixie archetype that we've been exploring the last couple weeks. We're turning it up to 11, we're changing it to 𝑀𝑎𝑟𝑑𝑢, and we're finding new ways to absolutely break a lot of the synergies that Pixie's already trying to do, but maybe in a bit of a different way. We're using a lot of permanents that enter the battlefield and drain our opponent or damage the opponent right away, and then we have a new way of just kind of replaying all of those all at once for little to no mana, and just sometimes auto one-hit killing our opponent from out of nowhere. We're going to break down exactly how we do that in the deck text, so stick around for that. But if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. Tons of crazy deck text on the way. Tons of crazy spoiler content on the way. 𝑃𝑖𝑥𝑖𝑒 spoiler season is right around the corner. And regardless of whether you're new here or not, please like the video because it helps me out a ton, helps this video get out to more people, helps the channel grow, and I appreciate you guys that do like the video every single time. It means a lot. I know I say that every video, but I honestly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I work really, really hard on this channel, and it is a lot of work, a lot more than you might think, and it just means a lot. Those of you that are in the comments supporting me, that are liking the videos, honestly, I can't say, I can't even express with words how much it means. So thank you guys so much for helping me out, making this channel successful. We are so close to 10K subscribers, and that's because of you. But I'm going to stop yammering about all of that. We've got some new announcements on the way that I'm not ready to share yet, but some exciting stuff is happening with the channel right around the time we hit 10K probably. So expect to hear about some crazy stuff soon, but for now, we're checking out this deck because it's amazing. Catch me on Twitch Monday through Friday. That's twitch.tv/quarantine Capricorn, because if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. Now let's break down this deck. Alright, so the idea behind this deck is very, very simple. We're using some of the Pixie strategies that we've seen on the ladder and that I've been toying around with and experimenting with in different builds over the last couple weeks, and we're really amping it up to 11 and finding ways to absolutely abuse it. And some of the ways that this deck functions is actually even more powerful than just, you know, the simple use of a pixie to recast something. We've found a way to take that concept and just dig even deeper. So first and foremost, we are running 4 Nurturing Pixies. 1 mana, 1/1 with flying. When it enters, you get to return a target non-fairy, non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. And if a permanent was returned this way, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Nurturing Pixie. So typically, it's a really easy way to get a valuable 2/2 flyer for just 1, while also reusing a very cheap permanent that has an ETB trigger to get extra value. So it's just a super valuable play that can get you really ahead on tempo early in the game. Now, we make this even better by using it with enchantments, because anyone who's been playing Standard for the last few years knows that they've shied away from using flicker effects or blink effects that can affect enchantments, and that's because of the introduction of sagas in Dominaria. Eventually they started to realize that if they allow their cheap, efficient flicker effects to target enchantments, it ends up being too powerful in conjunction with sagas to, you know, reset them and get all of the triggers again. So they've been shying away from things that can flicker enchantments, but Nurturing Pixie here is the next best thing. We can return an enchantment to our hand and replay it and get that value in ways that we're not able to do by blinking. So we're kind of doubling down on that with this deck. And the one thing I want to point out is most of the cheap enchantments in this deck, they all do direct damage. So we're going to start at the bottom of the curve, and then we're going to get back to talking about some of the main core cards of the deck after we go over the curves. So first off, we've got Hopeless Nightmare. Now this is a staple of pretty much all the Pixie decks. It's just 1 mana. When it enters, they have to discard a card and lose 2 life. So if we get to replay it, we get to make them discard another card and lose another 2 life, which is key. Also, if it happens to go to the graveyard at any point, we can scry to. There are certain ways in this deck to sacrifice things, so there is a little bit of extra value there. But for the most part, we want to just replay this, and we want to go wide with enchantments, and I'll get to why later. So the fact that it's an enchantment that does this and then sticks on the battlefield is super relevant. We've also got 4 Okiba Reckoner Raid, because it comes down and drains for 1, and then the next turn it drains for another 1, and then eventually it becomes a 2/2 menace. But if we return this with the Pixie, similar to Hopeless Nightmare, we get to drain for another 2. So either way, whether we're picking up the Nightmare or the Okiba Reckoner Raid, it's going to allow us to actually make our opponent lose another 2 life. The Okiba Reckoner Raid here takes an extra turn to do it because it triggers, you know, once when you play it and then once on the next turn. But it's got a little bit of extra value in that it's a menace creature that can sometimes help close out the game. And then in similar fashion, and one of the main reasons why we're in red now, is Kumano faces Kakkazan. So when this comes down, it deals 1 damage, which means if we pick it up with the Pixie and replay it, we get another damage. But what's really cool with the Pixie is Chapter 2 triggers. We play the Pixie. Not only do we get to return the Kumano faces Kakkazan to our hand and get a counter on the Pixie for doing it, but because it's Chapter 2, we get another counter on the Pixie just from the Chapter 2 of Kumano triggering. So it comes down as a 3/3 flyer on turn 2 if we played a turn 1 Kumano, while also returning the Kumano to our hand and getting to replay it, ping for another damage, and still eventually have the creature to swing with. So super valuable in that regard. And then moving on to the 2-drop slot, we have for Invasion of Azgol. This is a battle siege with 4 defense counters, and when it enters, target player sacks a creature or planeswalker and loses a life. So this is another permanent that we can play, that we can return to our hand with the Pixie and replay if we want. It's another thing that when we play it, they lose a life, so almost everything in the deck is just hitting them for damage outside of combat, which can be kind of crazy. But then this is also a way to fit some removal into the deck where we make them sacrifice a creature. And considering the fact that Okiba Reckoner Raid turns into the Road Captain, which has Menace, making them sacrifice 1 creature is sometimes all it takes. We also have a little bit of a sweeper that we'll get to in just a minute. So if we're able to sweep up all of the small things and leave behind just a big thing, playing something like an Invasion of Azgol just lets us take out that last remaining big threat, which is really nice. But we can also just swing into this and flip it and have another creature, and that's another thing that's cool about all of these. All of these cards are things that can deal damage when they're played while performing other very necessary functions, but a lot of them flip into creatures. The Nightmare does not, but the Reckoner Raid, the Kumano, and the Invasion of Azgol all have ways to become threats that can continue to pour on damage if we need to, which is really nice. And that just reinforces some of the other cards that we're using, Case of the Stashed Skeleton, and Corpses of the Lost. So we're still sort of keeping the core of these enchantments that make skeletons, that reinforce skeleton tribal in this version of the deck, because it's just too good not to, right? Playing Case of the Stashed Skeleton, getting a 2-power menace creature is awesome. It's hard for them to block it. We can get in some extra damage, which in a deck where we're getting a ton of automatic damage anyway, is sometimes all you need. But it's also like, if they kill it, this turns into a tutor, we can fetch whatever we need, and there's a really, really good thing to fetch up in this version of the deck that's perfect for the tutor that we'll get to momentarily. But it's also an enchantment that if, you know, we bring it back to our hand with the Pixie, replay it, we get another 2/1 menace creature, and sometimes that's all you need. And the Corpse of the Lost is awesome because it's giving all of those skeletons haste, which means if we play a Stashed Skeleton, it can not only be a 2/1 menace creature, but it's actually a 3/1 menace creature with haste that can just swing in immediately, which can get crazy. But all of these permanents, if any of them die, we can just return the Corpses of the Lost to our hand and replay it. So not only do we have Pixie to replay some of our enchantments, but we also just have some organic ways to replay some of our stuff, like built into Corpses of the Lost here, which just reinforces all of the strategies and synergies that we're already going for, which is awesome. And then why are we going super wide with enchantments? Michiko's Reign of Truth. Sometimes we can come out of nowhere and just win. On both Chapter 1 and 2, we get the buff. +1/+1 till end of turn to any creature for each artifact and or enchantment we control, and almost everything in the deck is enchantments, so we're able to buff up one of our creatures to high hell, swing in, but if that wasn't enough, we can then bounce the Michiko's Reign of Truth with the Nurturing Pixie, so that we can replay it and get those triggers again, and sometimes that's all you need. So there's a lot of value to be had with the Pixie here, and it's worth noting that other than Corpses of the Lost, all of these permanents that we want to be replaying are 1 and 2 drops. Nothing is above that other than the Corpse of the Lost, but the Corpse of the Lost is just too good not to play, so we're jamming that as well. Now let's get back to some of the important cards, some of the new additions that really makes this deck sing. 3 Temporary Lockdown, and honestly you could increase this to 4 if you want, but I feel like if we're in best of 1 and we're not able to change up with sideboard and stuff like that, we don't want to be stuck with Temporary Lockdowns up against control most of the time, although sometimes it will be useful. It is another enchantment that goes wide for Michiko's Reign of Truth, but what's really great about Temporary Lockdown is not only are we sweeping all of the aggro deck's board when we play it, which is insane in and of itself, but since it's an enchantment, it's going to exile everything, and then if it leaves the battlefield, everything comes back. So we pull double duty by exiling all of our 1-drops and 2-drops, most of which do damage when they enter the battlefield. And then, if we just have a Nurturing Pixie, we can return the Temporary Lockdown to our hand, and all of the stuff we exiled with it comes back, and sometimes they just die outright by all of the triggers from everything coming back onto the battlefield. But if they don't die outright, we're maybe making them sacrifice a blocker, we're maybe making a skeleton with Case of the Stash skeleton, and if Corpse of the Lost is in play, it's going to have haste right away, get buffed up by the Michiko's Reign of Truth. So there's so many ways to just, all of a sudden, your opponent doesn't see it coming, you get rid of your Temporary Lockdown, and you're just smashing in for a ton of damage with a hasty skeleton. That's if you don't already win just by pinging them to death with our 16 permanents that just automatically do damage to the opponent when they enter. So Temporary Lockdown is like kind of a crazy sleeper hit in a deck like this, and we're kind of going the extra mile to reinforce this strategy by also using 2 Rite of Oblivion. And this is another card you could add more copies in, but I feel like having 2 Rite of Oblivion to pair with the 4 Nurturing Pixies gives us this nice 6-card package, 6 ways to get rid of the Temporary Lockdown if we need to get that insane value to just end out the game if we're in a position to do so. So I like 2 here, at least for now. But it's nice that we also have access to a way to just get rid of any problematic permanent with Rite of Oblivion, and being able to do it twice because of flashback is awesome. A lot of times we can use this early in the game to get rid of a relevant threat and, you know, keep us alive, keep us in the game, and then just flash it back later for 4 after we've done our crazy Temporary Lockdown shenanigans, so that we can, you know, sacrifice the lockdown, bring everything back, and then because we sacrificed the lockdown, it'll trigger Corpses of the Lost Descend ability. We'll get to put that back in our hand and recast it for more value. There's just so many ways that all of this just synergizes together, and it's kind of beautiful when you see it in motion. But the mana base has to be very, very specific. So we're running 4 Shattered Sanctums, 1 Caves of Koilos, 1 Eiganjo, 1 Swamp in case they have land destruction. We're mostly sticking to lands that can enter the battlefield untapped on turn 2 if they're Rakdos colored lands. So 4 Blackcleave Cliffs and 3 Sulfurous Springs. And that's because for the most part what we're trying to play on turn 1 and 2 are going to be red and black cards. And we really don't need our white until a little bit later. We've also got 1 Battlefield Forge, 2 Sundown Pass, a Thran Portal that just helps us get a little bit more consistency by being able to basically be a 3-color pathway in a way. But the most important lands in the deck, and you have to very carefully balance how many to have because they enter the battlefield tapped, and you want this deck to be fast. We're running 4 Elegant Parlor and 1 Shadowy Backstreet, because when they enter the battlefield, you get to surveil one. So even though they enter tapped, surveilling one can be huge, because if we have a Corpses of the Lost on the battlefield, that's a way to trigger the Corpses of the Lost and put it back into our hand. If we don't have a way to get one of our permanents on the battlefield into the graveyard in a different way to trigger that descend. So being able to trigger that late game is really powerful under the right circumstances. So I think 5 lands that do that is the right number, where we don't have too many early that are slowing us down, but we do have a consistent chance of dropping one a little bit later and getting some value off of it, which is really nice. It's also worth noting that because they're mountains and plains and swamps, that they are a creature type, or rather a basic land type, sometimes you can search for them under certain circumstances if your opponent uses like land destruction on you, so it's nice having that little bit of upside as well. But this is the deck. Honestly, temporary lockdowning your whole board and then sacking it to just kill the opponent is sometimes just nuts, and I love it. It is super fun. So let's just shut up. Let's check out the games. We're gonna try and keep this. I think I need to fix my lands a little bit, huh? Start with you. Alright, we will play a Kumano and an Okiba Reckoner Raid. You are going to faithfully mend. You're gonna die, clown! That's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, I like that. That might be the one. That might be the one. You're going to die, clown. Why, hello there, Nitro Vampy. Okay, you has a Jace.
Are distractions. Focus
Sure.
on the facts.
Do you guys remember when people actually played Magic?
I will clear your mind.
Well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. I think we have to watch that movie when we have our big get-together. Our Capricorn meet and greet. Discard a card, you clown. Discard another card, you clown. Take a damage. Goodbye, Jace.
A minor setback to 𝑃𝑖𝑥𝑖𝑒's plan.
Sweet! That's what I was gonna do! Dude, imagine when this comes back! 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. 7 damage, guys. 7. We just gotta make him tap out first. That's key, because he'll counterspell the right. And then we'll be really sad. I mean, that works. I think that works. Oh my god! So long, sucker! Dude, look at this. Alright, no red. Kind of looks okay, though. I'm going to keep it. Start with the Sanctum. We're going to go Case of the Stashed Skeleton on 2. With a little bit of luck, we'll have a good turn 3 play. Alright, he's trying to ramp. He is trying to ramp like whoa. Do I just take all of his ramp away with the lockdown? Because we're definitely not going to be able to lock down whatever he plays with the ramp, right? I think we do. I don't think there's a better opportunity for it. We'll give him back his mana dorks when he doesn't need them anymore. And when we can get value off the case coming back. That seems fine. Alright, swing for 3, unless he's got removal. Oh, he's going to cycle a Carnosaur. Fair enough. Thunder Junction. Good choice. There's stuff we could do, but I don't like it. I'm not ready to yet. So I'm just going to pass the turn. See, when we sack the temporary lockdown, we get back our Case of the Stashed Skeleton, and the token will have haste and +1 attack from the Corpses of the Lost. And not only that, but because the temporary lockdown was sacrificed, the corpses will trigger and we'll get to return it to our hand at end of turn. So we've got a lot of value to get, but I'm not ready to give him back his mana dorks yet. We gotta wait until he plays out his big stuff. And then we kill his big stuff. I'm just gonna start with this, I think. And we'll do this too, because why not? And then next turn when he plays some kind of big dinosaur, we'll eat it up with a Rite, sacrificing the lockdown. And we'll go to town. We will go to town, baby. Couple of other guys playing Commander there were able to answer some questions, couldn't remember the answers to. That's awesome. We're good for that over here too, so you found the right community to hang out with. We're very new player friendly. Do we just trade? Nah, we can race him. We can race him like super effectively. Swing with all the boys. And we will kill everything. Alright, he goes 10. We're going to take back our Corpses of the Lost. And then replay them next turn and probably just win. we've got 𝑛'tali. Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I'm not that upset. We've got 6 mana. So, I think I kind of have to Rite of Oblivion, which means I can't play any of the Corpses of the Lost. Which, I'm not gonna lie, is kind of a bummer. Kind of a bummer. But with all the haste we got, we should be able to just win next turn. Come on, Shrock. Alright, kill my thing. Sure. Pretty close. Pretty close. It's all good. We're going to find a temporary lockdown. And then we're going to play the temporary lockdown. And life is good. Then we'll play a Corpse of the Lost. And we'll swing in for 3. And we should be able to just finish him off next turn. I'm going to decline. We're a little low on health. And we have enough to win without having to play 2 more Corpses of the Lost. So it should be fine. We'll see. Yeah, we got him. What a game. What a game. Alright. This actually looks playable. Slow, but playable. I believe it, Rads. Alright, we got a Kumano. A good old Kumano. More cards we take away, the less prowess triggers he gets. We're draining with Okiba Reckoner Raid. I think we're okay. I think we're okay against Mono Red. Slick shot. Alright, we're absolutely playing Invasion of Azgol, right? Don't even think it's a question. Get out of here with that slick shot. And then, what do we bounce? If we bounce this, we can start gaining more life. But if we bounce this, we get to keep a blocker on the field. That might actually be better. Let's do that. If we could play it immediately, then the Road Captain might have been the right play. gonna double block this thing if we have to. Yeah, Return to Ravnica was quite a while ago. No? You don't want to come at me, bro? You don't want to come at me, bro? This will be interesting. If he blocks, we trade, and I don't have to worry about the Kumano swinging in at me. If he doesn't block, I get a thing. Get a thing to block it. Alright, you are so out of gas, my friend. So out of gas. And I mean, at this point, we just play the Hopeless Nightmare as a shock, essentially. Because he's never going to hold up a card in his hand. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, we got him. We're still almost at starting life total. So I mean, I'm not worried at all. Make him trade with our skeleton. Oh, he's not going to trade with the skeleton. This man's cray-cray. Yeah, you're not wrong, Chunky. But he's just dead, man. Alright, I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to start with the Backstreet. Backstreet's back. Alright. Try to get to our third land as quick as possible, so as much as I want the Azgol, we dump it. Alright, we're gonna go black here for a Reckoner raid. Ping for 1. White here. Return the Reckoner raid. Not the best use of the Pixie, but it is the best use of our mana right now, so Karlov Manor. I don't blame you. I liked that set. I think I liked that set more than most, to be honest. Alright, swing 5. Just gonna try to be as aggressive as possible. Yeah, I think it would have been better in a different plane. Karlov should have been in New Capenna. Honestly, that would have been pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Is he going to trade his Vladimir? That's the question. No, he's gonna go to 5. Crazy. Crazy. We've got that in our hand. We've got 6 damage in our hand.
Enough with the mysteries. I've come for answers.
Each player sacks a creature, sure. Bro is toast. Do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I mean, he has to block both anyway, right? But now we have a free Machiko's trigger next turn, which isn't nothing.
You won't be outsmarting me.
I think the 𝑚𝑖REX was a mistake. Hostile investigators, sure. Well, we swing first, and he has to block with the investigator, so we get rid of that. Then we'll play the Hopeless Nightmare, make him discard one of his last 2 cards. Now he's going to have to -2 the Liliana to get rid of our win condition. 𝐸𝑠𝑎.
I have bigger delay to do, nothing more.
Honestly, though, I think we just win. Because we're going to be able to scry here
Personal space.
and just find something that can do 2 damage. Yeah, see? There we go. Boom. And Hopeless Nightmare for 2. Sweet. You're gonna build red deck wins. Alright, this looks decent. We've got our white mana, which is important. So we'll start with the Parlor. We actually don't really have anything we want to be curving out with until turn 3. It's kind of unfortunate. Guess we just Parlor and try to set up a better turn 2 play. I'll take it. I'll take it! So we'll go Cliffs, Case, and then turn 3 we'll go, what, Swamp, Corpses of the Lost? Or maybe we just need to play the Eiganjo out. But yeah, we'll start with Corpses of the Lost here. Swing in for 6. Seems pretty decent. Temporary lockdown. I will take it, my friend. We're gonna go Pixie, pick up the corpses, replay the corpses, swing in for 3. If we eventually get rid of his lockdown, we can get our case back. We would need a Rite of Oblivion to do it, but if we force him to kill the Pixie, we can get our Corpse of the Lost back to our hand, which would actually be really strong. So we target the Pixie here. Okay, he's just gonna counter. That's fine too. We still descend. We still get to bring the corpses back to our hand. That might even be better, to be honest. than him killing the Pixie, because at least we still have the Pixie and can swing in for 2. We'll save the Parlor as another way to surveil and get back a corpses, potentially next turn. Do you have a counter spell, sir? You do. Can't really swing because he just eats whatever we swing with. So unfortunately, we're just going to surveil and try to find something. And not attack. Well, if we attack, we get in for 2. He eats something, but we get in for 2. That actually might be worth it. Yeah, we're really close to killing him, right? He has to deal with the 2/2. He still gets pinged. He still has a Kumano coming in. He still gets pinged with the invasion if we play that. So I think that might be enough. We are about to find out. He's got to deal with both. I don't think he can. And even if he does, we have so many contingencies. Alright, he marches one of them. Eats the other one. Alright. We'll start with an Invasion of Azgol here. Even if he gains life in response, we still make him get rid of the creature land, which is awesome. Sweet. No red mana. We're still going to try and keep this. Makes sense to play the swamp first. Otherwise, we're just playing 2 Okiba Reckoner raids on 2 instead of 1-on-1 and 1-on-2. So we'll do it that way. Red mana would be awesome, though. Very much so. Very much so. Very much so. Fugitive Codebreaker, sure. Alright, this is about to get nutty. Bounce you. Replay you. Bounce you. So we're at 21. We've got 2 blockers. We're going to gain a total of 3 more life over the next couple turns. Seems pretty good against this weird mono-red, not quite mono-red Temur deck. Sir YOLO Swag. How much swag do you have, sir? What do we kill? Do we kill just one of them? Let me think. think we just do this, right? Seems right to me. We're still at 17. Just keep draining, baby. Just keep draining, baby. Never stop draining. Nice. Hey, we finally got some red mana. Would you look at that? Let's find a card that isn't red to play alongside our Kumano next turn. Oh, he's down to 9. We're about to have 2/2/2 menace creatures. We can ping for 1 and 1 again. Honestly, kind of close to just racing him for the win. Even though it took us forever to get our red. If we were able to get our red quicker, our pixies could have been bigger and everything. Would have been pretty gnarly. I don't know if our opponent actually wants to play Magic right now. I think we just go for it. The sooner these get down, the sooner they flip into creatures and can just finish off the game, so I think we just go for it. Slick shot. We're gonna do it like that. See what kind of shenanigans you got. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Take 2. Discard a card. Alright, if we can set ourselves up with a card that can do at least a point of damage next turn, then we hold the captain back as a blocker. If not, then we gotta swing in. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, we will hold it back as a blocker to try to increase our chances of survival. And we should be able to just win off the backs of the 2 Kumanos and the Azgol with a little bit of luck. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Kinda half, right? Well, here goes nothing. Let's see if we manage to pull it off. Come on, Sir YOLO. That's 1 damage and 1 of your slick shots gone. Oh, is he roping us? Did he run away? Did he run away because we have the game? Let's just sit here and take it in. let's take it in for a little bit. Just sit back and take it in. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.